Hello, I'm Christy Wilbert, the Director of Medicare Marketing for URL Insurance Group. And by popular demand, I am bringing you the How to Run a Medicare Appointment webinar today. Now, since Medicare is the fastest growing in the insurance industry, we've had many new agents migrating to this explosive market, coming from the under 65 or life insurance. When they're cross-selling, they're coming across Medicare more and more. So we really just wanted to give our agent partners the opportunity to learn more about Medicare and show that running an appointment is not as hard as it sounds. First, I'd like to take a minute to take a poll and just find out what your primary line of business is. I want to see what the marketing potential is with your client base. Who's your target market now? What's the opportunity? And what learning curve there is. Medicare Supplement's really easy to sell. Medicare Advantage, not as hard, but just there is that learning curve and training that's required. So I'm just curious. Thank you so much. And there's many videos out there for training. This should absolutely not be your first one. This is one that you watch right before you're selling on your own. And please remember, this is just a guideline for you to use. This is how I would run an appointment to be compliant. You in no way have to use this as, your hard and fast rule of how to run an appointment. You should always put your creative flair on everything you do. So, all right, here we go. First thing you want to do is qualify your lead. How are you getting that lead? Make sure that you're not going to be wasting your time. Your time is precious. We want you out there selling. So pre-qualify your lead. Make that phone call when you're appointment setting. Find out what their enrollment opportunity is. Are they turning 65? Do they have a qualifying event? Are they retiring? Are they moving? What's their current coverage? Find out if it's credible. Have they already enrolled in Social Security, Original Medicare Part A and B? If not, make sure you're giving them good guidance or helping them to enroll and get those effective dates ahead of time. Let them know what their timeline is. Make sure they're avoiding penalties. What's most important to them when purchasing health care? This is a really good door opener question to kind of give them the freedom to answer you in any shape or fashion. Even opens the door to them answering some pre-existing conditions and enlightening you on what they're going to need their health care for in the future without you asking, since you just can't come out and ask about their health. And also, do they receive any extra help? This will indicate to you if they need to apply for PACE or Medicaid or any other government-funded assistance program. Prepare them for your appointment. They appreciate that. You don't want them running all over their house trying to gather things when you go to sit down at the kitchen table. Give them a few days, give them this list. Medicare card, obviously they're going to need that for their Medicare number and effective dates. The Medicare numbers are no longer their Social Security number. Their driver's license, just to verify their permanent residence, date of birth, and all of that. Credible coverage letter if needed, if they're enrolling in Medigap or Medicare or a prescription drug plan, that's important. If they're losing group coverage, you want to get their term letter showing the date the coverage has ended for that SEP enrollment date. And the list of doctors, when we say doctors, we mean all of them. So if they're seeing a urologist, we want to know who it is. If they're seeing any other specialist on top of their primary care physician, even ask in case of emergency, what hospital would you go to, so we can make sure the hospital's in network. And also what pharmacy they're going to. And priority pharmacy and secondary pharmacy, so we can check to see where they could go for the lowest out-of-pocket costs for their drugs. I do say that having their prescriptions available with the quantities and dosage absolutely helps me ensure that they're getting their lowest out-of-pocket costs, but in no way is it absolutely necessary in order for me to run my appointment. They do not have to divulge that information to me. You simply compliantly just have to show them how to use the formulary and explain tiers so they can look up their drugs on their own if they wish to do so. POA paperwork, that is if somebody's going to be there and helping with their healthcare decisions, they need to bring the POA because you as the agent have to keep that on file, so get it while you're on the appointment. Okay, so you arrived or they've come to you, you're sitting face to face. First thing you want to do is make sure they sign that scope of appointment. It's one page front and back. You want to initial next to the boxes that they're interested in learning, and then they're signing on the beneficiary line and dating, and then you as the agent are filling out the bottom portion of the scope of appointment. You have to keep that on file for 10 years. Make it clear that you're an independent agent and you can offer multiple carrier plans and you are compensated by those carriers. You do not work for Medicare. That's important. Tell them a little bit about yourself to break the ice. They're going to be divulging a lot of personal information to you over your appointment. So please, even the playing ground, tell them a little bit about your Medicare experience, how long you've worked for the companies you're working with, and just a little bit about your personal life. Don't make it too intense. You don't need to spend time becoming best friends, but it's a nice icebreaker. And explain plan eligibility, what they're going to need to be eligible to enroll, their enrollment and disenrollment periods, and how important timeline is in Medicare and the possible penalties. Before you get into anything, I just like to personally give them an agenda of how the appointment's going to go. Review everything you discussed over the phone. Make sure nothing has changed. Make sure that they have everything in front of them that you asked them to prepare. Explain that you be quoting them Medicare Supplement versus Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. Obviously, it needs to be noted on the scope of appointment in order for you to do that. But it is important that you're showing them both Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement. You don't want to go in and only offer one or the other, because next thing you know, another agent's coming in the door and they're explaining how this client could have had a Medicare Advantage plan for $0 a month and got great coverage, and that was never offered to them before, and then you're losing a client. So let them make the best informed decision they can. Your job is to inform them and let them know of their options. There is a chart that we use to explain the difference from cms.gov. You're welcome to also use it, and I'll show it to you here. And then why is an additional Medicare plan necessary? You have A and B. Why another plan? Well, here's why. Here's what original Medicare A and B cover and cost. Part A is $0 if you've worked for 10 years or 40 quarters and paid into FICA. Part A deductible is $1,340 per benefit period, which is 60 days, and then per day coinsurance you're responsible for. And Part A covers your hospital inpatient and skilled nursing facility care. Part B premium depends on your income. The average monthly cost is $134. The more income you have, the higher the cost per month. The Part B deductible is $183 per year, and then you're responsible for 20% coinsurance. And Part B covers physician services, outpatient care, tests, and supplies. So as you can see here, that leaves you exposed to some large out-of-pocket costs. This is the chart I was talking about that comes from cms.gov. It gives them a nice indicator. They have two choices. After original Part A and B, they can either purchase a Part D to cover their drugs and a Medicare Supplement to fill in the gaps of Medicare that we just went over, or they can look at purchasing a Part C Medicare Advantage plan, which combines Part A, Part B, and usually Part D. The only reason you wouldn't be selling a Medicare Advantage plan that has a Part D is if they're already getting VA benefits or something covering their drugs. I think it's very important to make sure they know that there's no cookie cutter plan. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the client say, well, what's the best plan? There is no best plan. It's what's best for you and your individual needs. So both options should always be explored. It's important for them to know too, if their healthcare changes or something, finances change, they're going to remember back to you that you explained all options to them, and they're going to reach out and go with you as their agent again if they need to make changes, like I said. So how do you figure that out? Evaluate it. You as the agent, they're going to ask your opinion at the end of all of this, and I think it's important to explore where their mind is already. So how often do you travel? If it's an individual that lives here in Pennsylvania, but they're spending 6 months out of the year in Arizona, and they have a primary care physician down there too, or they're receiving cancer treatments in Arizona, Maybe you're thinking Medicare Supplement's the best way to go because that's accepted anywhere Medicare is accepted. What's your healthcare budget? Obviously, if they say $50 a month, you're thinking automatically they're going to need a Medicare Advantage plan. I've heard this time and time again, and it actually makes a lot of sense. You can either pay now or pay later. So pay now is a Medicare supplement. You're going to pay more monthly, but when something happens or you need to go to the doctor or specialist, you have a low or no copay or deductible. Pay later is your Medicare Advantage plan. You're paying little monthly premium, and then you're having a copay when you see your primary care physician or deductible you have to meet. Make sure you're explaining premiums versus out-of-pocket max, because some people are risky. They'll take that gamble. They'll do Medicare Advantage, low monthly payments, and if the risk is there, the catastrophic loss occurs, they have that out-of-pocket max protection. Some carriers, they're as low as $3,400. Some are the whole way up to $6,700. But when you look at the potential that those are actually met compared to the monthly premiums a Med Supp is going to be year after year after year, the pros and cons weigh out there. It's just what the person feels better about paying at the end of the day. Here's a chart that you can find in every enrollment kit for Medicare Supplement. Gives you all the plan letters and what they cover. This is with the rates and application. So every plan letter provides the same coverage per carrier. No matter what the carrier is, a Plan F is a Plan F. The only difference is the price. Price is determined just like anything else. It's the financial status of the company. So one year that company will be the cheapest, the next year they won't. This is all because of claims, marketing costs, staff, and so on. The two most commonly sold plans are F and G. I always like to use these two in the example because F, as you can see, there's 100% the whole way down. That means that you pay your monthly premium, and if you go to the doctor or you have an emergency, you have no copay or coinsurance when you go into the doctor or ER. If you look at Plan G, everything's 100% the whole way down except for the Part B deductible. And a slide or two back, I showed you that was $183 per year. So not a big expense to the person out of pocket to save a few dollars, because obviously Plan G is cheaper because the coverages are richer for Plan F, which is more expensive. It's nice to run these quotes side by side and show them the price savings. With Plan F, you don't have to pay that $183 deductible, but over a year's time, you might be paying $400 more annually than you would for a Plan G. So you're saving about $200 there. So just let them make that educated choice. And some reasons why you would pick carriers over others, since the plan is what the plan is. One is if it's a husband and wife and they would get the household discount enrolling. Another would be maybe one carrier has a policy fee. Some are $20 or $25 just to fill the application out. Another really cool tool we have on our website is marketing analytics. This shows you what the carrier's history is with rate increases or decreases. Also, we have AM Best ratings, which some people are really into seeing. And then you're the agent, you're the expert, you deal with these carriers day in and day out. Tell them your service experience with that carrier. If you're not having a good experience, they're not going to have a good experience. So be their expert. Prescription drug plans. You can quote this on your phone, iPad, or laptop using Medicare.gov. We do highly recommend that you use Medicare.gov to do a quote. We have a quoting tool on our website also, but Medicare.gov is going to show you the lowest out-of-pocket costs per their specific drugs. It also opens the door to explain carrier formularies and how the tiers work, because tiers are indicated there, and the prices with coinsurance and copays. And then you can explain the donut hole. If the individual doesn't reach the donut hole, you can explain that they don't, because it gives you a nice little chart and opens the door to just further explain if you were on a more expensive drug, this is what the donut hole is, type of thing. Or if they do hit the donut hole, you can tell them estimated when you believe they're going to hit it and what it's going to cost them per their medication. Explain mail order options, which usually save you some money for the carriers. And then preferred pharmacies obviously are less expensive. Review Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans. We also recommend, as you're quoting the PDP on Medicare.gov, you're doing the same with a Medicare Advantage plan. It does the same thing. It's going to review the drug costs. It's going to give you the plans with the lowest out-of-pocket expenses, and that's what we want to look at here. Obviously, you have to be contracted and certified to sell the plans, so make sure you are if you're discussing plans to the beneficiary. Do a side-by-side comparison on your computer and provide them with the best option with the lowest copays, again, what's most important to them in their health care options, and checking networks. You want to make sure all the doctors are in network with the carrier that you're going to be presenting. And then once you've selected the carrier that you want to present and the plan, make sure you go over the CMS star ratings. All right, so now it's presenting time. You're going to compare apples to apples with MedSup versus Medicare Advantage and what the pros and cons are for each. Go over those again. For example, Medicare Advantage, they have the low monthly costs. It's pay as you go. Some have extra benefits like dental, vision, hearing, gym memberships, the ease of one card. You know, for Medicare Supplement, you're going to have several. Ability to change annually during the AEP. If they're not happy with their plan, they can always change. Medicare Supplement, they're a pay ahead for peace of mind type of plan. And your plan is taken anywhere Medicare is accepted. There's no network, so that's nice. Also, compare what they're going to be paying. I just have an example here for you. After Part B, which you need to be paying regardless, for a Medicare Supplement and a drug plan, you're averaging out at $297 a month. For a Medicare Advantage plan, if you get a $50 plan, which is average, on top of your Part B, it's $184. So you can see how there's some savings there and leaves them some room for their copays if they go to the doctor. All right, it's time to take the application. What have they decided? So you can either do an online application or you can complete a paper application with the client. It's up to you. Whatever you have the capability for and whatever the client's comfortable with. Make sure you're reviewing the application with them as you complete it together. Remind them of their right to file an appeal or grievance with the plan carrier if any scary situations come up or something's not approved. Also be a guidance for them in those situations. Offer your assistance. Remind them about the Medicare ID card and the proposed effective date. In closing, make sure you're asking the client if they have any additional questions. Make sure they understand the coverage that they purchased, because 9 times out of 10, again, they're going to be receiving a call from the Medicare carrier to confirm that they know what they purchased. And let them know that that call is going to be coming so they're not alarmed. Seniors are getting a lot of fraud phone calls these days, so it does make them a little skeptical if they're not prepared for that phone call. Also, it's important to show them where they can find customer service information. Maybe their cards never came or they have a health underwriting question. They can call the carrier directly, and leave your business cards for the client to give to their friends and family so you can get some referrals out of the deal. After the appointment, you want to save a copy of the application for your files, either electronic or paper, whatever you do in your agency is fine, and submit a copy to the carrier within 24 to 48 hours. That's a compliance rule with Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. You want to make sure after you're signing and dating it, that's when the clock starts ticking. Follow up with your client at least twice a year to check on them and answer any questions. And that's a retention rule. You want to hit every client at least 2 times. So we have some great handouts that we've developed here for appointments. And then CMS.gov has some wonderful ones that we always use and recommend also. So please feel free to reach out to me if you want to use any of the documents. A quick look at Medicare is the one I showed you with the 2 options We have a secret shopper checklist that Karen McDaniel, our Director of Operations and Compliance, has developed that you can use personally. You don't want to share that with the client, but you can just make sure you're hitting everything and being compliant on your appointments. We have a generic scope of appointment because, at the beginning of the appointment, you don't know which carrier you're going to be selling. So a generic scope is always the way to go in our eyes. We have a customizable permission to contact form if you want. You can put your agency information on it. Great cross-selling forms and much more available on our website. So I would like to launch one more poll just to see if you're interested in learning more about Medicare. I'd love to spend some one-on-one time with you, maybe going over your questions from this presentation or some things that you were looking to do differently. I'm open to hear all about it, so I would appreciate your opinion and all your feedback. So thank you so much. And again, my name is Christy Wilbert, Director of Medicare Marketing with URL Insurance Group. And please call or email me with your questions. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day.